Okay, I am here at the current site of the Meadowbrook Golf Course in Gettysburg. In 1863, this was a farm owned by a man named Michael Fiscel. And of course, the Fiscel farm was the 5th Corps Field Hospital on July 3rd, 1863. Nothing exists of the Michael Fiscel farmhouse, barn, and field hospital. It's all been destroyed. Just the land here is still here, but even that is altered by the present day golf course. The house here was built around the turn of the century and is used as a clubhouse for the Meadowbrook Golf Club today. Now, the 5th Corps Field Hospital on the night of July 2nd was down near the Weichert farm on Hospital Road, Little Round Top being in the distance over here. And on the night of the 2nd, the field hospital was moved here to the Michael Fiscel farm, where John Milhow, Surgeon John Milhow, and Surgeon Edward Shippen were the lead surgeons here at the hospital. On this field hospital, there were well over 1,400 men at any one time, and as high as 3,800. Now, originally, the barn sat from where the shed is right over here to where the rock pile is. And of course, the barn was torn down about 20 years ago because it was in dilapidated condition. These rocks are actually pieces of the foundation from the old Michael Fiscel barn. So this is all that remains of the Michael Fiscel barn, is this pile of rocks here, which was one of the foundations. And of course, when they built this little fountain over here, they also used some of the stones for that as well. Now, the Michael Fiscel house itself stood right here where the 18-hole is today. The 18th hole of the golf course stands, the green of the 18th hole of this golf course stands here where the old Michael Fiscel house was. Now, those who were wounded in the 5th Corps, predominantly on July 2nd, 1863, in this direction behind us, or in front of our camera rather, here, where the round tops are, again, were brought to the Weichert farm, and then on the night of the 2nd, brought here to the Michael Fiscel farm, and put into the barn here of the Michael Fiscel household. And these wounded men had plenty of amputations and deaths that were happening here on the Michael Fiscel farm. There was a great deal of suffering going on in this barn here. And those who did die were actually brought east in a field out here near the tree line. There's a stream, and they were temporarily buried in a cemetery, not a permanent cemetery, but just a temporary cemetery. They were buried there in that open meadow just before the stream over here, until, of course, their bodies were either taken home or taken to the National Cemetery in Gettysburg, just a few miles away from here. But again, nothing remains any longer of the Michael Fiscel farm. The 18-hole of the Meadowbrook Golf Course is the site of the house, and of course the rock pile here in the distance, the barn, about a 100-foot long barn, sat there at one time as well. Of course, the ground itself, the field hospital itself, was greatly altered by the building of the Meadowbrook Golf Course, and this is just another sad case of history that has been lost to development. The current owner that owns the Meadowbrook Golf Course, I talked to him today, and he said that about 25 years ago, the National Park Service came here and asked him to restore the barn. And he said that he would restore the barn, but he would need about $100,000 to do so. The National Park Service did not and was interested in coming up with the funds to restore the Michael Fiscel farm, and he said that the floor had caved in, to the bottom floor, and it was so dilapidated that the decision was made to raise the barn and tear it down. There has been some publications that the barn was torn down to build a clubhouse, and I believe that was also mentioned in Strange and Blighted Land. However, that is not true. The clubhouse was not built with any materials from the barn whatsoever. In fact, the wood itself was sold to a historian and carted away, and the foundation stones from the barn were are right here in front of us. They were used to make this fountain and a few other steps around here on the golf course, and this pile of rocks is the only other thing left from the barn. So sometimes what you read in books or hear isn't necessarily the truth. There was an offer made to salvage. It was just that the Park Service did not take the offer of about $100,000 to do so. So the barn was torn down. This has been the Michael Fiscel Farm, Part 1, on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.